I'm Nicole Love, the Director of Client Services with Community of Hope, and we are the case management team.
I'm Michelle Shatila. I'm the Assistant Case Manager.
And I'm Tara Subzak. I'm an outreach worker and case manager.
So over the last year, we've noticed a rather large increase in families living in their vehicles. They do tend to go to hotels when enough money is saved. A lot of times, if it's a two-income family, mom will work during the day or dad will work, they'll work different shifts. We have noticed an increase in families pulling their children out of school because the inconsistency in their living arrangements. We've noticed a really large impact of families moving from out of state and into the area. We do try to connect them back to their supports in previous states because most of the time they're moving here and they have no supports. They're coming here for a better life, but they're realizing very quickly that the cost of living does not fit what the income levels are of what people are paying for hourly wages. We have noticed a high volume of families that are having a hard time with assistance, getting food stamps, getting their disability. We do offer SOAR disability. Tara handles that on our end. Food stamps, we do that. We can apply. Okay. We do have a program, an outreach program that we at Community of Hope have never done before. So for the 2022 year, we have started that. We have gotten the funding for that. I will turn that over to Tara to speak a little bit about our outreach program and what she sees and how that all works.
So since the end of June, I've been working with community partners. We go out and we meet with folks wherever they are, whether that's living on the streets in the woods or staying in hotels or in their cars. Sometimes they're couch surfing. I've seen well over 100 people. Some of them I see regularly on a weekly basis. Others I see maybe only once or twice. And I try to get them connected with community resources depending on what level of need they have. A lot of times the first thing that I do with them is help them get connected with their documents. So if it's an ID or a birth certificate or a social security card, that's the very first thing I try to work with them on. Sometimes it's getting them reconnected with a source of income or getting them reconnected with family. Like Nicole mentioned, if they have family members that they could stay with, whether that's here in Brevard County or another place in Florida or even out of state, that's always an option that we try to get them connected to be able to stay with someone to get them out of homelessness as quick as possible. So that's something that we try to work on as quickly as we can. The housing market is very difficult in our area, and I know that's the same in a lot of areas, but the income and the housing don't meet up at all here in our area. So for somebody that's literally homeless, if they have either no income or very low income, they're finding it really difficult to be able to find somewhere to stay. So especially folks that are getting Social Security, they're on a fixed income and it's less than $1,000. So there isn't anywhere, even rooms for rent now are pushing close to $1,000 a month. So they're not able to find anything. So they're finding it nearly impossible to find somewhere to stay. So the outreach efforts that we're making are getting people connected with other community resources to be able to get them into better situations. And a lot of the folks are suffering from physical health. They've been discharged from the hospital and they didn't have anywhere to go. Some have insurance, which we're working with that. Some have nothing. Some have substance abuse concerns that we're trying to help them with. There aren't a lot of resources, so we're really trying to work with other community partners to see what resources we can either improve on, and we're really finding it a struggle. So we're really just trying to do the best that we can with the limited resources that we have.
Which I think you touched on a little bit with the insurance. We have partnered with Simply, which is a Medicaid program. They also offer different resources that maybe we can't as an agency or partner agencies can't offer. We are seeing a ginormous step in like mental health illnesses. We just don't have anywhere to put it. I mean, there's those resources are not available in this county. We try to pull together with some of the community partners, like Circles of Care and Palm Point, but that's not enough to serve the population, and we're falling a little short in that area, because I think people underestimate the need out there of the mental illness. And I know Michelle talks to a lot of clients that call in on a daily basis and what they're going through. Some will be, forthcoming and say, hey, I've got this. And then others we just kind of figure out as we're
going through.
Yeah, as we're going through. Do you have any examples of any families recently that you can speak of?
We have a few that from the get-go they admitted that they have diagnosed mental health issues. They're on disability for it, but they don't make enough to actually be able to find a place. Even ones that are working and tell us that they take medication for depression, they haven't seen their doctors in a while because they haven't had the means to do so. They can't access their medication because they don't have insurance anymore. So they have obstacles, they have barriers that they are trying to overcome that we've been helping them with. But another issue we have is we see a lot of people who say, I went and applied for an apartment and I am working full-time and my partner is working full-time, but we don't make 3 times the amount of rent a month. And the apartment complexes want to see that. And if they don't have it on paper, then they're limited in where they could even go.
So not only you can't have any evictions on your record,
Right.
because they go back a certain amount, you have to have 3 times the income.
Yeah.
And a mom with 2 or 3 kids, even if a spouse is in the picture, you're still falling short. You're still
Exactly.
falling short if you're making $10 an hour, $11 an hour, even if you're both working full time.
Right. And even if they can afford the rent, they just can't get past getting in the door.
Well, and even if they could get in the door, now your benefits of food stamps have decreased.
Right.
So now they're struggling in
Yes.
needing the resources of, food
Exactly.
and, a lot. I think a big barrier is also transportation lately.
Yes, we have a lot that they've sold their car because they needed the money to feed their kids and stay in a hotel.
Yeah.
Or the car broke down, they didn't have the funds to fix it, so they sold it for junk for parts, and now they have nothing.
Well, and I also think that hotels locally that we've tried to use, the moment they realize that the family is homeless, they don't want their family.
No,
They don't want those families
Yeah.
there because of their clientele. Once they realize that they don't care who's paying for that room,
Right.
they
Already have an idea, a picture in their head of what a homeless person or family is, and it may or may not be the accurate picture of what they are.
And that's true. We actually have a lot of families, and actually we saw a lot during the COVID time where it was the families going from paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And when COVID hit and job hours got cut and, resources were cut or not available, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Or they got sick and were out of work for 2 weeks.
Yeah, so the next thing you know, they have an eviction on their record because they have nowhere to go.
Yep.
And it's just kind of like this vicious cycle that we're seeing.
But there's a lot of moving parts to it.
Well, and I'd also say a lot of our families have never been homeless before.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have our fair share of chronic homelessness,
Yes.
Homeless families. But I would say for the most part,
I think more than half of our clients, I think it's their first time experiencing homelessness.
yeah. And a lot of people, they don't know where to turn to. I think
No,
a lot
they
of
don't.
agencies say call 211. There's a central point, and I think that's a good ground for them to start because it gives them an idea of what is out there. Because if you're homeless for the first time,
You don't know where to
don't know
go.
where to
You
go.
don't know where to
have no
go.
idea where to
You don't know
start.
who to call.
you are so overwhelmed and consumed with what am I doing? I've got these kids to take care of. I've got to get them to school. I've got to figure out how to get to my job. I can't get sick if I'm,
Right.
it's like
We're
this.
in our car, we can't get run off by the police because I have to sleep to go to work. And
Yeah. And I think the police kind of try to move people along, but I've also noticed that in certain areas we have a very good support with police officers where they are now reaching out to us.
Yes.
And they're not just giving someone a ticket because, their license got suspended because they don't have insurance. They're reaching out to us and we're trying to be community partners
Right.
with them to
And trying to offer resources because
Yeah.
they know giving them more obstacles makes it even more difficult, and
Right.
then they're just going to see them more. It's going to make it even more difficult for them to get out of the situation,
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
more barriers that they put up for them.
Yeah, and it's also educating our police department.
Right.
I mean, you have to, I mean, they're probably just as clueless as the person sitting in the car that has their driver's license suspended that has no clue what they're doing next.
Right.
Yeah, I think another thing, like I had said earlier, is the kids being pulled out of school.
Yeah, we have a lot of clients whose kids, they started working online, but then that became too difficult. And where do they charge their computer, their laptop? Where are they going to sit down and listen to their lessons if they're in the car? So they're in a parking lot somewhere. It's difficult. So yeah, they pull their kids out of school. And
Well, I know the one family we had talked to said they had pulled their kids out of school because they didn't have a place to bathe every day.
yep,
And they didn't want their kid to be bullied. They didn't
Right.
want, so it was like, it was easier for them to go, I can protect my kid in this one
Yes.
little small area of keeping them safe by not being bullied, even though we're going through this really tough situation.
we also have ones that say, well, the safest area for me to park the car for us to sleep was on the other side of town, and I don't have gas money to get from here at 8 o'clock in the morning or whatever time across town to the school to take my kid. So what do? I have to go to work to make money to feed them. So I choose between one or the other.
Yeah, I know we do a lot of early learning coalition referrals.
Yes.
That provides the families with a discount of their daycare based on their income. So I know that is a big benefit that we have here in Brevard County for the working parents.
Yeah.
So we did start the Medicaid program with Simply back in August, and Tara has kind of head that program up. How many families do you think has gone through that so far?
I believe I've had 5 referrals, and I've been working with them on a few different things. It depends on what the family needs. Some of them need referrals for different health related matters, whether that's referrals to dentists or mental health. Some of them need housing assistance, so they need help looking for landlords or assistance with the landlords or the places that they're currently staying. So it's really specific to what the family needs. So I'm still working with those families and helping them get connected to the community resources that they need.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's I think it's definitely a good resource. I think the Medicaid offers a lot of things that we don't necessarily have in other agencies or easily readily, available for them. So good job with that.
Yeah, thanks.
And I know on a daily basis how busy you are during the day.
Very, very busy. Lots of calls, lots of people emailing in.
How many calls do you think you get a day? Just calls.
Maybe 15 to 18. Emails, maybe between 6 and a dozen on an average day.
And what is their main need?
They're living in their car and they need somewhere to go. They need help finding a place. And a lot of them need help getting disability.
Well, I was going to say the one family that we just housed, he was disabled.
Yes.
His wife, she was his caretaker.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had, I think teenage son, but they couldn't find anything.
No,
they
not
were
at all.
in their car for wasn't it a year?
It was probably a year or almost a year.
Yeah,
It was a long time.
Without, yeah, we've already kind of talked on the whole 3 times the income, but
There's just nothing available.
affordable.
Yeah.
Even affordable housing, we're falling short in that area. Like, where is someone going to go if you have a fixed income on $800 and you have a disability and you cannot work?
Right.
You cannot work. So they are doing. They were such a sweet couple, and they are doing everything that they can for their son, and
They just
that's
hit a rough patch.
yeah, a very big pivotal age for the teenage son to be in a car.
Oh yes.
He should be at home throwing a football with friends, and but he wasn't. He kind of. I think they pulled him out of school for.
I think he was pulled out of school too, and probably did. I think he did homeschool online for a little while, and I think maybe he didn't complete all of his courses because of their situation.
Yeah, and it takes a toll on the kids.
Yes,
it takes
does.
a big toll on the kids, and I think the parents think they're doing really good to hold everything together when everything is really falling apart, and the best option is to take the kids out of school.
Right.
But that is the one constant for the kids is school. So I don't want them falling behind. So I always try to encourage them, you know what, at least let the schools know, let the school counselor be aware, have the kids marked as in transition.
I think that's also a big thing because people don't know that they can do that.
They don't know about it. But we did get some county funding that we should be using, that should be available soon. And we are going to partner up with the school board to help with the families that go through the school system that, you know, their families are living in hotels, they are living in the woods, they are in the cars, and to see what we can do. It's kind of a double-edged sword though.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you help when there's no housing available?
Right. The affordable housing market is so taxed.
Yeah.
And there isn't a lot available.
Yeah, so, and that's kind of where we lean on other agencies that have their private funded units, and we see, you know, because we know there's people knocking at their doors too. So it's tough. It's a tough situation for all the clients that call or walk through the door going through this. But I don't know. I think we do a really good job.
I think so too.
I think you guys do a really good job at meeting the needs of all the families, all the clients that we come across their path. But sometimes they just need someone to listen to them too.
That's
so
true.
It's not about fixing them all the time. Sometimes it is about just listening. And we know that sometimes you can get on the phone or you're talking to someone in person
and 2 hours go by.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's what they need. That is their need at the moment. And that is what we're here for, to meet their needs.